If I went through all this, what can stop me?
If you're investing,
Investors.
The podcast for all things real estate investing.
Real estate investor Andrea Lancioni came to the US in 2017 as a single mother. Unable to speak English and struggling to validate her credentials as a general surgeon, she took on 5 different jobs, from babysitting to delivering pizza, before discovering the world of real estate. Today, she oversees a $20 million portfolio dedicated to helping others achieve the same transformation. Here's how.
yeah, Andrea, it's amazing having you on Investor One-on-One. If you could just tell us a little bit more about yourself, what you do today, and how you got into the real estate industry, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm originally from Venezuela. I came in 2017. Actually, I graduated as a general surgeon. I
Wow.
I didn't get to practice in the United States, but that was the goal. My daughter was 1 year old back then. I was a single mom, and then I just working. Like whatever you can get, you just work. I didn't know English. I kind of learned English through babysitting. I babysat two girls that they spoke English, Spanish, and French, 4 and 6 years old. So that's how I learned English. And I would say in 2019, after wearing a lot of hats and doing like babysitting, cleaning services, helping people with different projects running around, I met my actual husband. He was in need of somebody to help him run 2 townships. And I was always willing to grab any jobs, right? We met through social media, actually, which is funny, through Instagram. And he was looking at my workouts and he's like, "Oh my God, your workouts are amazing." And I'm like, "Do you have anything that I can work on the weekends?" Because I was actually looking for works on the weekends so I can keep myself busy. And he said, "Yes, if you can help me with townships, you can help me fill out paperwork and do this, and this." And that's how I got introduced to real estate. He was running a big construction company. Like he had like 25 employees running $45,000 weekly payroll. And but when COVID happened in 2020, everything went south. Like basically almost the company filed bankruptcy. And since that moment, I went all in with him. I say, "Listen, I'm gonna quit all the jobs I have. Either way, like it's COVID. It's not like I'm actively doing something." So we started making a plan, got out of a lot of debt, fired everybody, and then I just started. He had like a group of rental properties, so I kind of took over the tenants. I learned all the property management process. And I communicated with the Spanish contractors to close some of the deals that were open. So also I wore the hat of project management with the Spanish contractors. And that's how pretty much I learned the business from A to Z through pain, a lot of pain. But I would say that is the best learning experience I could have because without that, I don't think I could know what I know today. And then in 2021, we started building the wholesaling company. I mean, I was already familiar with property management, project management, like fix and flip, acquiring rentals, doing the burst strategy. But 2021 was wholesaling. We needed more like the cash pumping business. And we started hiring virtual assistants from the Philippines, from Egypt, from Honduras. Most of them are still in with us and and that's it. So I build like a scope of work, like processes, systems, CRMs. So I've been like kind of the integrator of the company, and my husband is like the visionary CEO, put like people in place and stuff. And right now, fast forward to 2026 now, we have over 100 rental properties. We do fix and flip just to keep our contractor busy, but pretty much because I have a big community of 400 plus Spanish people, which I teach them how to learn real estate, how to invest. I've been selling them a lot of subject to seller financing through a wholesale fee. So I keep my contractor busy with them. So we don't put so much into fix and flipping right now. Since 2022, I think the fix and flipping business have been coming down. But yeah, that's what we do. We're trying to acquire some different businesses now in the home servicing state, and that's it.
Wow, that is an inspiring story, truly. Like it's a Disney movie. You started from nothing and then you built up your way, and today you're showing more than 400 people how to do this. It's incredible in the span of years that you did that. So kudos to you. I have a few questions following up on that. First of all, do you guys, all your rentals, are they in New Jersey or are they across the country?
Yeah, basically South Jersey, I would say 80%, but we also touch Delaware County and Philadelphia County.
Got you. And then my other question to that is, you faced so many challenges, you had so many different types of jobs. What did you learn? Because, it made you who you are today, but what did that teach you as an investor and as a person that's in the industry today? All those challenges and those bumpy journey.
Well, I think without the challenges, I wouldn't be where I am today because it teaches you how to be resilient, how to go through hardship when not a lot of people are going through the same. So you see life from different lens, and I think that's I wouldn't take for granted the bads. Like when you feel like you're in a sinkhole, when you feel you're going through the darkness or the worst thing, I think that's when you actually learn, and that is actually what have built me as a different person. I'm not the same Andrea that came in 2017. I think I'm a very different person now, more like in a way that if I went through all this, what can stop me? Like whatever it's coming my way, we're gonna get it done.
No, definitely. And today in real estate, what would you say are your biggest challenges that you could share with us?
In real estate, the biggest challenge I would say it's like typically like whatever investor has is acquiring deals. I would say because sometimes I mean we have like cycles. We are very cyclical here. We have the cycle of the third and fourth quarter of the year where nobody is selling, and you are like, which marketing channel should I use? Like, should I use mailers? Should I use PPC? Should I use cold calling? So we don't have an issue on the closing or giving offers or marketing departments. It's more like when is it a good like which channel should we use based on the cycle we are to acquire more deals.
And which channel is that for you, you would say mostly?
That has, I mean, I think the ads, all the like Google ads, Meta ads, all these ads is like sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. So it's a lot of work understanding um why sometimes they work and why they stop working. Like all that data is one of our biggest bigger I don't know bottleneck.
Got you. Can you tell us more about, you said you have a big 100 plus rental portfolio. Can you tell us more about the deals that you buy and some numbers to share with our investors?
Yeah, we try to buy everything, of course, in distress. But before it will be distress high reno. Now it's very different. It's distress turnkey. So we try to attack people that are underwater or with small equity. So we do a lot of subject tools. Okay. If not, we want to acquire the property at a discount, but it doesn't need so much renovations inside. So it's just like a lipstick work. My contractor can go in, get it done in 2, 3 days, and we put it on the market. Before we will attack properties that we could do the BRR, but the BRR is very hard to do in these days. So we're okay leaving 10, 15,000 on each property.
And in your opinion, where's the industry heading to?
Oof, that's a hard one. I would say based on all the data I've been reading, all the podcasts I've been listening, I think this year because of the Feds are gonna cut like the rates probably to 5.5%. I think people are gonna start acquiring properties and keeping them. The ones that already acquired properties, there's gonna be a huge refinance. I think flipping is gonna be good just in the like that affordable housing, not like the 1 million, $2 million properties, more like 250, $400,000. And the wholesaling, I think, is going to continue as long as there is no so many regulations. But I think this year is going to be big for landlords.
That's awesome. And Andrea, you started from the bottom, so along the way, you had to learn everything yourself. In your opinion, what are the most important skills or tools that investors, non-negotiables for investors that you could share with us to scale, to grow in this industry?
Well, the first one speaking to the Hispanic community is English. I don't know why they have such a hard time speaking English. Like, even though you have an accent, just learn it. That you are in a country, everybody speaks English. So that's the first one. But in general, for other investors, it's more like patient, being patient. I think this is a business that a lot of people turn out so quickly. Like in 12 months, if they don't see results, they are out. 6 months, no result out. So even for us, like, we've been literally like 6 years all in, like full time, and we see results, but we still don't see the results we want to. It takes a decade to see results. So I think being patient and understanding the market, the ups and downs, the cycles you have to live, when to stop your to keep your marketing at minimum, when to go all in with marketing. Understanding all that, I think, is the most important for an investor.
That's great advice. Something I like asking all the investors that I interview, since they're successful and everyone has their own story, is if an investor today wants to get started and they have to start from scratch, but they have your wisdom, what would you recommend them from scratch?
If they have my wisdom and they could start from scratch, I would say the negotiation skills will be the most important one, because you can always offer, if you have the knowledge, you can always offer subject to or seller financing to a person, and you don't have to start with a lot of money. You can always create a way of a payment plan to that person in a way so your entry fee is not too high, your monthly payments are going to be covered by the tenant, and then on the end, when you need to do a balloon or something like that, you give yourself time to have more equity on the property, to get your financials together, to understand more the business, to get connections with lenders that can refi your property. But that will be my approach. Even though I started, my first deal in real estate was a duplex in a seller financing situation. So I think those lower entry are the best as long as you have the knowledge.
That's great advice. And following up on that, we provide leads to investors across the country, and some investors have a higher closing rate, some investors have a lower closing rate. What are some negotiation tips you can share with us for so investors can close more deals and build that trust with the sellers?
I think because today's market is so competitive and you have so many sharks out there, I think you just have to go above and beyond. Like anything, you have to listen, pay attention to what the person is telling you, and really get into who they are, what they are living. If you can really understand them, you should earn that business with them. And not just is the transaction, is more than the transaction. Example, the person is in distress, they need to move out. Like, can you provide them housing, temporary housing? Can you find them like a new hole? So, and you just put it inside of your assignment fee. Can you find them a rental property? Can you help them out with any paperwork they need to do with the state or something like that? So as long as you can listen, pay attention, and satisfy their needs, being more like a friend than just looking at it as a transaction, I think that's where we're gonna go to. The person needs to feel that it's her, because that same person, like we've been listening to it. They say, dude, you are the person number 17 that is calling me. Why so different from you? And everybody will be like, oh, I have cash, I close in 2 days, and blah, 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 all this stuff. Yeah, but that's the same script everybody has. But if you have a different script where you approach the person more like in a sentimental way, I think it's gonna be good.
I agree. Really meeting their needs and being flexible with that. And following up on that, like everything is trust in this business. And I see you have a pretty good social media presence. You also met your husband on social media. So, as an investor, how important is personal branding for you today, and what has that led you to?
Well, I didn't think personal branding was important for me at all in 2022. I was like, oh no, I have this strong accent. Who's gonna want to listen to me? Like, whatever. And then my husband say, well, just say it in Spanish that where you feel comfortable. I say, you know what? Yeah, that's true. So I started in 2022 putting so much content out there, and I think I started monetizing all the way January 2025. So it took me a long time, but now it's so easy. It's so easy to ask because I have given so much, and I just keep myself very relevant on social media. I see there is so many people that try to be relevant in the wrong context. Like, oh, let me say something that is so crazy that people, let me cause virality or something like that. But for me, it's more like I'm very honest. I speak from my eyes, like from what I have lived, from my experience. And then it's more like you gotta build the trust with the person and don't ask them so frequently or so soon. Just give them so they understand what you have to provide. Like you're a legit person, you are genuinely worry about them, you want them to succeed, and then you worry about the money. But the social media in today's day is so important because I would say without that, last year we closed in wholesale fees $1+ million, and 70% of those closings were in my Spanish community because they are coming from my social media. So if you don't have the presence, I don't think your business can even grow. Sometimes some people go to the doctor, and instead of checking, doctor's reviews, they go on social media. If the doctor has a presence on social media, I will go and get my plastic surgery with that surgeon. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
social media is like the core in today's day.
I agree. And you spoke a little bit about your community. Can you tell us a little bit more about your community? I heard they're all Spanish speakers. What's your goal and what do you teach them?
Well, my goal is them understanding that if I did it, being a single mom, not knowing English, and coming from a background that has nothing to do with real estate, I think anybody can do it. As long as you have the willingness and you're willing to put the hours, the reps, the nights of not sleeping, I think you can do it. So I go in and I try to start my classes with what's the main pain point they have right now. All the citizenship, like people are getting deported, they have so much pain into that. Okay, I try to provide legal free advices through a person that I already know. Maybe I might pay this person, but that person is going to come give them a class and do say something that is going to help them. So I try to give them so much of not just real estate, not just investments, but a little bit of everything, even though lifestyle. I push them. They have done 75 hard with me. They have lost weight. They feel with more energy. So a community is that, right? You cannot just go and say, I'm going to teach them how to invest in real estate. But if you are 300,000 pounds overweight, most likely you're not going to be able to even understand what I'm saying. If I'm telling you, you have to run around here and go there, the person doesn't have the power, the urgency, right? So for me, it's like if you have to be a complement. You have to be mind, a body, and a spirit. The three have to be together in order to to succeed or to be somebody that is actually is like a complement for everything. So I think my community, I have a 97.2% retention in my community because I think they feel I'm more like a friend than just a mentor for real estate.
That's awesome. Wow. I agree. It's all a balance. In life, success has different aspects. And that kind of leads me to my next question. Your story has been featured in Forbes for your community impact. But besides money, how do you define success for you as an entrepreneur and for your students?
Success for me, it's I measure it based on the outcome of the success of my students or anybody I can impact. It doesn't need to be with money. It can be with anything. Like for example, there was a lady that says, Andrea, I heard you one time, and that made me make the decision to go back to my country because I just didn't have anything to do in here. I just couldn't support myself anymore. I was a homeless person. So why was I putting myself through so much pain if I could go to my country where my family is and now I'm happy, I'm not going through depression. So I think there is an impact there. There was another lady, for example, she had a son with he had a really bad car accident. He can move his leg and his arms, and she was just giving up. And I talked to her. I say, listen, you gotta support him, not just financially, but also spiritually. Like you have to keep going. And now his son was able, after I think 10 years, to accept his condition, and now he's close to God. Many of my students have built almost $1 million portfolio. There is one lady that raised last year in my community $1 million. So, there is a lot of aspects, you might call it that way, that have been impacting people. And for me, that's a translation of success. It's not about me personally, it's about how many lives can be changed just a little bit. It doesn't need to be something super big, but at least a change of mindset, for example. So that's for me is a translation of success.
And that's beautiful. And what would you say inspires you and drives you to do all of this? And do you have a quote that you can share with us that, you live by?
Well, the quote is in Spanish, but I'll try to translate it at the, the best I can. But I think everything has been installed inside of me since I was a kid. I saw how my dad used to do many, many donations. Like we will go every single December to donate, like even houses, cars to little boys. And it was crazy in my country when he had like a good financial situation. Right now, it's not the same. I mean, as you might know, Venezuelan situation has been going south for several years. But when he could, he was a giver. So that giving thing, he was installing me since I was a kid. And then I decided to go to med school. In med school in my country, it's pretty sad because you have to go to the public hospital and you have to see things that you don't want to see. I saw babies just dying because they just didn't have a formula to drink, yeah, and the mom couldn't breastfeed them, and the mom will die giving birth. So that giving thing has been in me since forever, and that's why when I started real estate, I was 2 years, 3 years in, and I'm like, I feel a sense of that I'm not happy. I just can't get myself fulfilled, and then I found that through the giving, so my love language is the acts of service. As long as I can give to somebody, I think God or life is sending me good things back. And what I live for is more like, if you are every day breathing, that's a blessing that you can take for granted. You have to move forward, keep going, whether that specific day is giving you a bad news because of something. Like, for example, I don't know, you found out today you have cancer. Okay, what are you gonna do? What's the approach you're gonna take? So that's what I typically tell my students. Just keep going and live day by day. The future is important, of course, but you have to live like this day was the last one.
Wow. Beautiful. Truly. Very inspiring talk today. And I love what you're doing. And I'm excited to see what you're going to do because I feel like you're not stopping anytime soon. So what's next for you, you would say, for your business, but also for your personal life? Because, we spoke a lot about your businesses, but if you could tell us more about your personal life, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, well, with the situation in Venezuela, things have changed into me personally. So I feel like me and my husband are going to try to, at some point, not maybe it's not soon, maybe it's in 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, but we're gonna try to invest in my country. Not actually through real estate, but we want to do more like in the medical field, in the oil field. My dad has some contacts there, so we're gonna try to tap into those too. We don't want to live in the United States forever. We actually want to move to Italy, but maybe we're gonna be more like moving around the world. We don't even know. So that's one of our goals, have Airbnbs everywhere so we can travel a lot and just keep giving. I would like to open a children's hospital at some point here in the US or in my country and just make it, free entry for everybody. And in the future, maybe in 10, 15 years from now, I would like to run for presidency in my country. So that's those are
Wow.
my goals.
Wow. I
Uh,
know the future president. That's awesome.
yeah, who knows? Maybe.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love your vision and you're very inspiring. And, today you've inspired me and hopefully everyone watching this, you've inspired a lot. And I appreciate this conversation. And if anyone here wants to connect with you, learn more, what's the best way to do that?
Well, through my social media, I would say Real Estate con Andrea. It's in Spanish. The word con is with. So Real Estate con Andrea, you're going to hear me speak in Spanish all the time. But if you send me a message in English, I'm more than willing to reply. I'm willing to collab. I've been helping actually some businesses to build their own communities. So that's a service I'm not full time doing, but I can help you. Not that that's my job, but it's something that I built, and I think I can have two cents of telling you, well, this is the route you should take. Maybe this one not so much based on the people's needs. But yeah, social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Real Estate con Andrea. And yeah, I think this February 14th, I'm gonna be speaking in an event in Vegas with Michael Sover. That's gonna be my first English engagement. So if somebody wants to also hang out in Vegas, feel free to send me a DM.
Well, good luck. You're an awesome speaker. You're going to kill it. And to all the
Yeah.
investors that have watched this episode, please like, subscribe, and share this with another investor who needs to hear this. And stay tuned for the next episode with such amazing people and investors and Investor One-on-One. Thank you so much, Andrea, for joining us today. And yeah, I appreciate your time.
Thank you for inviting me. And well, I hope we can impact more lives. Thank you so much.